Good day and welcome to another broadcast of Pitch Deck. Today, as you can see on screen, I have a very important question that I want you to ask yourself. And whether you're in business or you intend to get into business, the big question that I want you to ask yourself is access to capital, is it enough? Access to capital is not enough. In fact, as a statement that I'm saying, access to capital is not enough. And I want to show you that before we get through to today's program, you will have clarity in terms of why I'm making this statement that access to capital is not enough. Now, I want to encourage you to go to our website, pitchdeck101.org, and I want to encourage you to peruse that website to really take the time to understand what we are doing at Pitch Deck to really give businesses across the world a fighting chance to be successful. I'm happy to say to you that we are not only operating locally, but we are now build the brand out with relevance to function across the world. Now, Global Capital Inc. and 10X Branded and Marketing out of New York, we have started the signature project that we call Pitch Deck 101. So I really want to encourage you to go to that website and take the time to learn what we are doing. But I'm just going to give a brief introduction to what we are doing at Pitch Deck 101. We have studied businesses across the world for many, many years. And one of the things that we've seen is that many businesses struggle to access capital. Yes, they struggle to access capital. And even when they access capital, they struggle to exit the debt portfolio. With that being said, the big question you want to ask yourself is access to capital enough? All right? Access to capital is not enough. And let me just dig into this a little bit more. Whether you're in business or you intend to get into business, taking the time to understand financial instruments and so much more is vital to the business process. But permit me to do a little deep dive into financial instruments so you get a better understanding of what I'm saying. And then I would look at some of the other elements of business that you need to take the time to build that familiarity with it. In other words, you want to learn all of the moving parts that is going to enable you to be successful in business. So the question that we're asking now is access to capital enough? But let's get into this. There are multiple financial instruments. And as an entrepreneur, you need to be certain that you're taking the time to understand these instruments. For example, there is debt capital, there is equity capital, there is smart capital, there is credit capital. And I'm going to talk about each one of these in the brief. As an entrepreneur, you want to know that you have access to debt capital. In fact, debt capital is perhaps the financial instruments that is more readily available to entrepreneurs and rising stars in businesses across the world. But it's important to recognize that while it is available, it doesn't mean that it is accessible to everyone. The accessibility of debt financing is ultimately dependent on you reaching the pre-qualifications to access the debt portfolio. And based on the research, we're seeing that many companies, many rising star in business, you are not reaching those pre-qualification criteria to access debt instruments. In other words, you are not fully fundable. And I experience this all the time with businesses around the world. This is not just unique to any particular country. Businesses need to be certain that you are fundable when you are preparing to access debt instruments, because the financial institutions, they have their pre-qualification criterias, and you want to be certain that you know those pre-qualification criterias, and you know how to build the business up in such a way for it to be fundable in order to access debt instruments. So the next big question that you want to ask yourself is, debt instruments the best financial instrument for you? Now, in most cases, you might believe that you don't have a choice in terms of selecting the best financial tools to help you grow your business. And it's common for you to have that belief if you do not understand enough about financial instruments. I'm here to say to you that there are multiple financial tools that you can leverage to move the trajectory of your business forward. Debt instrument is only one of those instruments, and you need to understand it. Some of the things that you also need to understand about debt instruments is the concept that we call the amortization schedule. The amortization schedule is a reflection of the PITI, principal and interest debt, principal and interest, tax, and insurance. Why is this so important? Any debt that you're taking, you want to be able to apply the amortization schedule. You want to know what's the principal, but you know that for sure. But you want to know what's your monthly principal obligation, interest, tax, and insurance. From here, you will look at other things in terms of your ability to cash flow that debt. And this is, again, the other reason why we would say access to capital is not enough. It is necessary for you to also take the time to really understand which financial instruments is best for you. And if you're not taking the time to get enough skin in the game of money and how money works to really understand financial instruments, you are not necessarily playing the game the way the game can be played. All right. There's a couple of things that you also need to know about debt instruments. Debt instruments also means that you have monthly debt obligations. And here's where the PITI comes into play. Every month, you have an obligation to pay down your principal, to pay down on the interest, to pay down on the tax, and to pay down on the insurance. Well, this might have some regular room depending on which country you're in. All right, there's some countries they're going to take the tax and insurance and they're going to put it into an escrow account. In the international world, they're going to take that monies from your monthly debt obligation. They're going to put it into an escrow account, and then they will remit it at the right time to between tax and insurance. In other parts of the world, you may have to take care of this on your own. In other cases, it's an overhead, and you need to know it. All right, in terms of managing the financial portfolio, you need to know it. But at the end of the day, the point that I want to get across to you is debt instrument, the best instrument for you to use. And understanding this platform is what's going to help you to make a better investment decisions. Perhaps what you need as a rising star in business is what we call a capital market mix. And this is how the capital market mix looks. You have access to debt, you have access to credit, and you have access to equity. Do you know which one of these instruments can give you the greatest financial leverage? As an entrepreneur, you need to know this. All right. And that's why we at Pitch Deck has built out our platform with top financial experts that is not only talking the talk, but we are able to get you access to these financial instruments. In fact, between yesterday and today, we were working with about 5 different entities to ensure that one, they're fundable and they're able to access funding to move their vision forward. So let's talk a little bit more about credit capital. And credit capital, I love talking about this because perhaps this is one of the easiest financial instruments for you to access depending on where you are in the world. In the developed world, you are able to leverage what we call your personal data, like your SSN. And you're able to, once you're in good standing, you're able to leverage your personal credit, your FICO score, to access the much needed cash that you need to move a vision forward. And that could happen pretty fast. And I mean pretty fast. Because with good credit rating, you can access capital in the click of a finger. And I literally mean in the click of a finger. You can walk into stores, you can establish what we call trade lines. And there are things like vendor credits, store credit, cash credit, and you're able to access capital to move a vision forward. But this is what we advise because there's a major difference between personal credit building and business credit building. At a personal level, the more you utilize the funding that are available to you, leveraging personal credit, it undermines your potential to be fundable. So what you want to do here is to ensure that you are building up your personal credit. And the ultimate play here is that you want to leverage your FICO score into getting a PAYDEX score. And PAYDEX score means that you're now crossing over from personal capital into business funding. And business funding is where the big boy play. I'm just going to give you some snippet here. You're able to really access when you know how to play the game of accessing and leveraging business credit. You're able to play the game. Like, for example, we have big companies like Walmart that are able to take out above 500 trade lines and leverage those trade lines in a way that will put smiles on your face. So let me give you some of those snippets as to what can put smile on your face. Now, from the time that you take a debt, all right, based on your amortization schedule, you're saddled with interest instantly. There's no ifs and buts and dancing around this. But guess what? With personal and business credit, you're able to access credit at 0% APR. Now, this is not textbook, formula or read it from a textbook and bringing this information to you. I've just came back from North America, and we were able to walk into a particular store and we get store credit. And guess what? You're able to access thousands of dollars in trade lines at 0% APR. 0% APR, annual percentage rate. Now, let me explain what that means. Can you imagine accessing $5, $10, $15,000 in Caribbean dollars? That might be up to 3, 4, 5, $10 million at 0% APR interest rates. Which financial instrument is best for you? These are things that you want to ask yourself. And I'm saying to you that all of this is quite possible when you really take the time to understand financial instruments. And the sky's the limit when you understand financial instruments and how to position yourself to optimize the leverage potential that each one of these areas has. So it comes back to the question, is access to capital enough? It's not enough to have access to capital. It's important for you to also take the time to understand which financial instruments truly best for you. Because think about this, for an entrepreneur who is able to access capital at 0% APR, it means that you have no interest to pay. No interest to pay. And the beauty about it is that the last client that I worked with, that's just a couple of days ago, they had no interest to pay for an entire year. So you could take that money, put back that money, flip that money, wash that money, invest that money over and over and over again. And for 1 year, you have no interest to pay. And when you know how to play the game, you can wash and repeat that process where you're able to access thousands of US dollars. You play the game right, perhaps you will have access to hundreds of thousands of US dollars at 0% APR. It's not automatic, all right? It's not automatic. And that's why I'm diving into this, to ensure that you understand how to play the financial game, how to play the game of business, because access to capital is so important. But is this the only thing that you need to know? Some people just want to access it, and then you want to mismanage it in terms of how you spend it. Once you're our client, we ensure that you know the capital portfolios. We ensure that you understand how to access those capital portfolios. We ensure that you understand smart debt leverage and more so mitigation processes. You want to know that you know how to mitigate the entire debt process. It's not just about accessing the capital, but that's for the novice. You want to know how to really play the capital leverage game. So we have looked at two instruments so far. We looked at debt instrument, and we looked at the fact that you have monthly debt obligation, and there's almost no wiggle room here. You have monthly debt obligation. And when you default on this, guess what else? In most cases, part of that pre-qualification is that it has to be collateralized. So mommy, daddy, uncle, aunt collateral is going to be at risk when you default in reaching your monthly debt obligation. But here is how where you have a different reality when it comes to either personal credit, where they're going to leverage your FICO score, or your business credit, where they're going to be helping you now to build up your PAYDEX score. Now, as I said just now, it's not automatic. Your business needs to be registered in the right way. Now, we have IRS trained personnel who are with us. We have persons that understand and work many, many years with the Secretary of State to ensure that you are properly registered. From there, we move you to a whole nother level where we start to get you getting some visibility with Experience, Equifax, and DNB. Those are all business reporting bureau. And as an entrepreneur, you want to be certain that you are visible in these platforms, particularly if you're setting yourself up to be able to build business credit and leverage business credit to move your business forward. And I'm going to say this to you, if you're in business and you're not leveraging business credit, you know, something is wrong with you. You whack some part in the brain. You need to access all of these possibilities and leverage it, milk it for whatever it's worth. And that's the beauty of living in America and doing business in America. You have these opportunities. But I'm still aware that there are millions of people who are still not aware of a whole lot of what I'm talking about, who are born, bred Americans. Our mission is to provide you with the kind of information to help you to make better business decisions. Now, what I'm saying here is not just for Americans. You might be a foreign nationals, but you want to get a footprint in the US. We are here to provide you with that kind of support to ensure that you get the footprint in the United States of America. You have over 300 million plus persons that can be part of your market share. So we're talking about getting you properly registered as a business. We're talking about getting you visible with the experience in Equifax and DNB. We're talking about getting you the funding that you need to move your business forward. Now, in working with us, this is what I want to say. We are not just going to prepare you to access debt. We're going to prepare you to access credit. We're going to prepare you to access equity. And we're going to educate you about smart and creative financing. My God, and when I start to tell you about creative financing, it's going to be like, wow. It's going to be like, wow. And let me jump to creative financing, and I'm going to talk a little bit about creative financing in terms of how it is leveraged in real estate. Now, this is what I want you to see, that you have an opportunity to buy a real estate, property, 1,000 USD. Now, the banks are asking for 20% down payment. So you have to come up with about $60,000. But you don't have that. What option do you have? If you have good business credit, yes, you can leverage your business credit and you can access that fund. But if you don't have, what option do you have? If you don't have proper track record, you're not going to get credit financing. You're not going to get debt financing. All right. If you're not ready again, you're not going to get equity financing. But guess what? There's something that we call subject to, and that's where we talk about smart and creative financing. What subject to allows you to do is to assume the monthly debt obligation on the portfolio. Now, somebody might want to have the estate, they want to move to another location because a better job opportunity show up, and they're perhaps struggling to reach their monthly debt obligation. Now, with just understanding the amortization schedule, the possibility exists that you can take over that entire portfolio by just assuming the subject to, assuming ownership of that debt portfolio, purchasing that entire estate, leveraging subject to. The person might want a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 out of the deal. You allocate that to them, and you own an estate value at $300,000. So there's, as I said, there's sky's the limit. The key is that you just need to ensure that you're working with a subject matter expert that understands how the game is played of business, how the financial, how to best leverage financial instruments, how to best leverage creative financing to work to your advantage. And there's so much more that I can share with you. So if you follow what I'm saying so far, it is not enough to simply understand that capital exists. Because if you don't take the time to understand the many moving parts to financial instruments, you're still not in the game. You're still not in the game. And this exactly is the reason why we at Pitch Deck, we at Global Capital Inc., we at 10X Branded and Marketing LLC out of New York, we continue to emphasize, understand finance. You need to understand how to access these instruments. Take time to understand how to mitigate debt. All right? That's how you play the money game. You need to understand the dynamics of the entire process. All right? Playing the money game is like if you're buying real estate. Let me put it this way. There are ways in which you think you might be winning, but if you don't understand the depths of the game that you're playing, it means that you're leaving not crumbs on the table, but you are leaving perhaps three-quarters of that pie on that table. And that's not how you play the money game. All right. That's not how you start to invest into real estate. And this is something that we talk about a lot. All right. But I'm not going to talk about real estate today, but we're talking about access to capital is not enough. All right. It has to go way beyond your ability to access capital. You want to really take the time to understand the financial instruments, or at least ensure that you have a CPA, you're working with a professional financial advisor that understands and can really give you the advice, the support, the mentorship, the coaching that you need to make better financial decision. So there you had it today. We talk a little bit about debt capital, we talk about credit capital, we talk about smart capital, and I'll talk very briefly about equity capital. Now, when the equity view, all right, you can talk with a VC, which is a venture capitalist, and there are many venture capitalists that may invest with you pre-income, but that's still subjective. They're not just going to willy-nilly invest in you pre-income. You have to, you reach the basic pre-qualification to get their attention. You also may have the private equity investors. Well, private equity investors, they're like the banks, they're risk avert. So they're going to come in when you want to grow, you want to scale, you want to diversify, you want to expand into new markets. They're going to come alongside you. But of course, they're going to look at the pre qualifications. You must be ready for funding. And I really want to emphasize this because I'm dealing with businesses every day. And many business owners believe that by having a vision is enough to be fundable, and it's not enough. So I'm going to just, push it a little bit here. Are you taking the time to understand the concept that we call the market analytics? There's what we call the market analytics ecosystem. As an entrepreneur, you want to know that you're taking the time to understand your market, because any investor, perhaps in the absence of credit, they are going to test your knowledge of your market. And what exactly do I mean by test your knowledge of your market? One of the things that we emphasize as investors is to clients is that you need to know your numbers. And your number is not a guesstimate. Your number is not a speculation. Your number is based on hard market data. And you can only get the hard market data by one, leveraging secondary market data. You need to watch that because secondary data can be outdated, or primary market intelligence. And primary market intelligence is where you're getting enough skin in the game and you have the information that empowers you to make better business decisions. And what are some of those information that you would need to have, to learn, apply, and master, to harness? You need to understand your market. Who is your ideal client? What is the size of your market? What is the geographical dispersion of the market? What is the element of the competition? What is your differentiating factor? What are the accommodators and the enablers, and how to really build out the healthiest of relationships with the accommodators and the enablers that ultimately will guarantee your business potential to cash flow. These are things that you need to know. But some businesses, some players in business, some innovators, some rising stars in business, your key focus, I need access to capital. But is access to capital enough? It's not. You really need to take the time to ensure that you understand the many ecosystems that you need to learn, apply, and master when it comes to playing the money game. Yes, I can talk the money game from the perspective of financial instruments, but at the end of the day, it's not enough to just know the financial instruments. It's equally important for you to understand smart leverage platforms that will give you a chance to earn so you can reach your monthly debt obligation, your annual debt obligation, and continue to build wealth for your business, for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, for your friends, whatever you want to do. You need to take the time to understand much more. Now, the thing about it, you don't have to know all of this. There's something that we call team dynamics. All right, team dynamics. We talk about the 20/80 rule in terms of doing business. You need to focus on the 20% of the business that is the heartbeat of that brand and delegate the 80% out. Perhaps part of the 80% that you're delegating now is your subject matter expert that understand financial instruments, is your subject matter expert that understand marketing and branding, is a subject matter expert that understand, you know, financial management. You need to go beyond just access to capital. And that's how you get the winning formula. So I'm here to say to you that if you're an entrepreneur and you're serious about growing and scaling, you're serious about integrating your brand into the US, we are here to help you through the entire process. As I said early on, we have IRS certified bodies to manage that entire business registration process for you, ensure that you are properly registered with the Secretary of State and the IRS, to ensure that you're properly, billing visibility with Experience, Equifax and DNB, to ensure that you're moving from your FICO score into your PAYDEX score, and ensure that you are fundable. All right. We work with you to ensure that your brand is properly aligned to your ideal client. We work with you to ensure that you understand the size of your market and the potential of that business to cash flow. We work with you to help you to understand your competition and what is going to make you different in the eyes of the market, in the eyes of your consumer. So again, I want to encourage you to visit us at Pitch Deck, pitchdeck101.org, and do a deep dive into what we are doing. You wouldn't regret it. All right. We work with you to help your business to become fundable. And in the US, we help you to get funding. All right. Hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars in access to capital. But you want to make sure your business is fundable. And I'm saying this because we're interfacing with many businesses, and the key focus is access to capital, but your business is not fundable. There's a number of things that we can do to help you, help your business to become fundable. And once you become fundable, we're going to let you the money back. All right. In our network, we have over 100 different funding institutions that wants to fund you. All right. But you have to be fundable. And of course, I want to emphasize this again. The way we work with our clients for them to understand how to play the game of business, you want to understand financial instruments. You want to understand smartest ways to access. You want to know the best financial instruments for you. Perhaps you need a mix. All right. Debt capital alone don't cut it. Equity capital alone don't cut it. You need a mix of credit, debt, equity, and smart capital leverage. All right. If you don't have this in your team, if you don't have this in your advice, I want to encourage you to reach out to us. All right. We have studied this subject matter at the highest level. And beyond the study, we have a team of persons who have years of experience in this field, and they can easily transfer this body of knowledge to you to ensure that you're making the best decision possible when it comes to moving your business forward. All right. Um, there's so much to talk about, but I really trust that you enjoyed today's program. And I want to encourage you again to go to pitchdeck101.org. This is where winners win. So if you see yourself as a winner who wants to win, go to this website, navigate this website, and become a member of our community. Just send us the word mastermind, and we will get you into one of our mastermind program. You see, the beauty of working with us at Pitch Deck 101 is that, yeah, we're going to get a theory because we believe that every success story is based on a theory. But guess what else? We're going to bring the practical to you. We're going to bring the capital to you. We're going to bring the money back to you. All right, to ensure that outside of having that vision, you have the human, technical, and capital resource to help you move your vision forward. All right, I repeat that. With us, you're going to have the human, technical, and capital resource to help you move the vision forward. All right, so this is like a one-stop shop. You want training to move your business forward, we're going to give it to you. You need access to market, we're going to work with you and get you that information. You need access to capital, we're going to get that to you. But the beauty about access to capital is that you're going to have multiple financial instruments that you can leverage. And if you follow me from the beginning, if you missed it, listen back at it. Because I talk about the possibility of accessing capital at 0% APR, annual percentage rate, for a whole year. You can't want better financial leverage than that. You got money in your hand, you got the money bag. You could flip it, twist it, turn it, do whatever magic you want to do with it. And guess what? No interest rate for an entire year. And when that process is done, you can start this process again. Or before the process ends, you can open up another trade line and create the similar leverage. The biggest company in the US do this. I'm saying the biggest, the who is who in business, they leverage these platforms that I'm telling you about. It costs us a lot to get these information, to study them, to get out there, to practice them, to make sure that they're working. Now it's easy for you, all right? Because we have done the heavy lifting to make it easy for you. So remember, reach out to us at pitchdeck101.org. Go to the website, use contact. My telephone number is there. Use that information to move your vision forward. Stop sleeping on your vision. All right? Stop sleeping in your slumber. Let's move the process forward. All right. In the event that you're joining me for the first time, my name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the self-published author for several books. All right. Now, I'm going to bring them up shortly. These are just some of the books that I have written, and I really love each of these books. I mean, you have, the psychology of money. And who need to learn about this? This is what it talks about making money when you sleep. Traditionally, you're accustomed trading your time for money, and there's no harm in doing this. But guess what? What if you know also how to put money to work for you so you can make money when you sleep? Man, that's the best way to make money, man. The best way to make money when you're sleeping. All right. You have another book here, which is The Impact Marketing and Branding. And this is for you if you're in business. All right. You want to build a brand to make impact. And this is a beautiful book because it really helps you to understand the foundation of building the business. It helps you to understand the 4 important points of that every brand, that every business should have. And you need to know it. And then to walk you through things like visibility, reach, and impact, and conversion, and confidence, trust, and credibility. You need all of this to your business forward. And then the last book I produced is 10x Branding and Marketing Blueprint. Now, 10x Branding and Marketing Blueprint is really giving you a formula to, move from zero to hero. 10x, 10 times your business optimization. All right. And I really want you to get these books. And beyond getting these books, we're going to give you the mentorship, the coaching, the support that you need to internalize and apply the concept into your business. All right, into business. You get reach out to us, pitch deck, org, and conversation. All right, let's start to have some serious conversation about your business, about making money, about building your personal and professional legacy. All right. So if you're in business and you're serious about doing business and you want to take your business global, I want you to reach out to us. Because we have team in the UK, we have team in the USA, and we are building team across the world. All right. We are not waiting for you to say, I'm not ready. We are going to get out there. We're doing the legwork because we are 10XN, and we're going to be there with you to say, hey, let's take this thing to another level. And you want that kind of mentor and coach next to you that could say to you, let's help you leapfrog. All right. We have the system in place for you to take you to the next level of growth for your business. So let's help you achieve this. All right. So my friends, I trust you would have enjoyed today's program. My name is Gary Thompson, as usual. I'm a business development consultant by profession, humanitarian by nature, and it has been such a pleasure being with you today. I look forward to doing this with you soon. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Don't be selfish. If you know someone in your community need this kind of information to move their business forward, they need access to capital and they are fundable, reach out to us. All right? Don't be selfish. Goodbye. See you soon.